Okay, let's finish off by creating a program that does something marginally more useful. Let's recreate one of our practice examples from when we were using MATLAB and write a program that converts from degrees Celsius to degrees Fahrenheit. So let's create a Win32 console application called Celsius to Fahrenheit. Okay. Empty project, please. Okay, that's created. Let's add in the C++ file. Call it the same name. Okay, here's my program. Let's start off as usual with some comments. I know I'm going to ask for things, I know I'm going to write things to the terminal, so I definitely know I need IOStream. I'm always going to use the standard namespace trick. I'm going to start my program. I'm going to end the curly brackets, and I'm going to put the return in straight away. Okay, so this program, I want to ask the user for a temperature in degrees and return to them at the same temperature but in degrees Fahrenheit. So I definitely am going to ask them a question. Give me a temperature in degrees Celsius. So I'm definitely going to ask them that. Then I'm going to put that in a variable which I'm going to declare here. So let's have a little section, declare variables. So Celsius is going to be a double precision number. So double Celsius. Okay. So that'll get me a temperature in degrees Celsius, assuming that they type a number. But let's assume that they're going to type a number, and we could do all the catching of different possibilities. But just for time's sake, let's forget about that for now. So give me a temperature in degrees Celsius. Cin gives me the variable Celsius, and then I'm going to write out. Well, I know eventually I'm going to write out that Celsius degrees C. Okay, you have to do that, and you have to put that there as well. So you can join these up, so you can create, you can build your own string. C is, and then I will have a variable called Fahrenheit, which I can output as the result from the program. Okay, so this won't work yet because I haven't declared Fahrenheit. That's also going to be a double precision number. And now all I need to do now in between here and here is do the calculation. So let's put some comments. Ask for the temperature in Celsius. Output the result. And then here we do the calculation. So to convert from degrees Celsius to degrees Fahrenheit, you multiply the Celsius by 9/5 and you add 32. Alright, so that should work. So let's try building it. Press F7, see what happens. Yep, succeeded. So I think it's going to work. So Control F5 runs the program. Give me a temperature in degrees Celsius. Okay, let's do one that we know, 0. 0 degrees C is 32 degrees F. That looks good. Let's run it again. Give me a temperature in degrees Celsius. Let's see what boiling point is of water. 212 degrees F. That looks good. Okay, so I'm reasonably happy that that works. One thing I could have done is put the calculation in a function. And then I could use that function from anywhere else in my program. So let's see how we can define a function. So the first thing when you define a function is you have to give it the return type. So I know I'm returning a double, or a number. I'm returning a double. And then you give the function name, so I'm going to call it Celsius to Fahrenheit. Okay, and then in the brackets you tell it what you're going to give it. So you're going to give it a double, which is called Celsius. Okay, so that's the function definition, and then the function goes in curly braces. So you need to create the variable that's going to store the answer. You need to calculate what the value of that variable is, times 9/5 plus 32, and then you need to return that value. So this is how you define your own functions in C++. You tell it first what kind of quantity is going to be returned by the function. Then you give the function your name that you want to call it. This is how you'll refer to it in your program. Then you tell it what things you will give it and what type of variable they are. And then inside the function, all the variables that are declared here are local to these curly braces. So this Fahrenheit here is not the same as that Fahrenheit there, because that Fahrenheit is local to these curly braces in main. This Fahrenheit here is local to this function only. Okay, so that's the variable scope is quite important, but it's also very useful because it means you don't have to worry about what you're naming things everywhere in your program. Okay, so what this will do now is nothing because you haven't used the function. So let's use the function. So Fahrenheit in the main program we're going to get by calling our function. Right. Okay, so it's going to do behaviorally, it's going to do exactly the same, but it's organized better because the calculation is done in the function. Okay. There's one last thing we have to do before it'll work. That is declare the function at the top. So you have to declare. This is going to be exactly the same line as what's below at the function definition with a semicolon at the end. Okay. So what that does is it makes sure that the compiler knows about this function before it gets to where it uses it. Okay. So if we build this, it should compile. Okay. Let's see what happens if I didn't declare the function. So I comment it out, try and compile now. Failed. And it says Celsius to Fahrenheit identifier not found, which means it doesn't know what to do when it gets to this bit. Alright. The other solution for this is that you declare your function before main. So if you remove that bit of code from there and stick it in here, okay, now the compiler knows what Celsius to Fahrenheit is before you use it. So this will compile now. See? So there's two ways you can do it. You can either put your functions at the top, and then main, where the program starts execution, is lower down. You have to go and find it. Or you can put your functions at the bottom, maybe where they're out of the way, and but then you have to remember to declare them at the top. And also, of course, it might be nice to put some comments in here. Okay, so that's how you can use functions, define your own functions in C++.